News Live and Gate City Bank present the Bison Football Show with head coach Chris Kleiman.
Bison fans and players remember it well. Back on October 15th, South Dakota State scored with seconds left, hoisted the marker, stormed the field in Fargo. There was the Rose Boom Bruce Anderson play. Yep, round two is this weekend after both teams held serve in the second round of the FCS playoffs. We're going to talk about that game in a little bit. We welcome to the set head coach Chris Kleiman, but first, San Diego. And you know what, Coach? For a non-scholarship team, I tip my hat to those guys. They have a pretty good football team. I think the Bison played very well this weekend.
Yeah, they've got a great culture, a really well-coached team. We were impressed with them watching them on film all week long. The more you watch them, the better they were, and they demolished all their competition throughout the year. And a real quality opponent, and our guys were really focused, and we really played well yesterday.
Yeah, and some injury concerns. Pierre G. Tucker could not go. Darius Shepard could not go, so you had to have some guys step up, didn't you?
Yeah, Chris Board played really well for us, and then Dimitri Williams and Eric Perkins stepped up and kind of took Shep's role. And so, hey, it's a next man up philosophy.
Yep, 21-0 at half. The Bison in control of this game, 240 total yards. That was a sign of things to come. Passing yards, Easton threw the ball well, as we mentioned. 142. Before we break down the second half, Aaron Steidel is on the Gate City Bank hot seat. Okay, Aaron, what's your favorite pro sports team?
Minnesota Wild.
Okay.
By far.
Who would you describe as your hero?
My grandpa, Arlen Dreesen.
Okay. Favorite sport other than football?
Hockey.
Hockey. Okay. Did you play?
I did. 14 years.
Wow, wouldn't want to get hit by you. Wow. Name something you are bad at.
I am very bad at singing.
Kind of like your old guy Shatsy, right?
Yeah, I'm not a singer.
What drives you crazy about your roommates?
They always leave dishes in the sink, and it drives me nuts.
If you could visit any place in the world, where would it be?
Somewhere in Germany.
Okay. What do you like most about the Bison coaching staff?
They're really close, and they get to know each player individually, and makes it for an easy learning experience.
What's the one thing people don't know about you?
I'm an only child.
Okay. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, it's 21-0 at half. What'd you talk about in the locker room?
Well, we had to continue to stay the course, continue to be able to run the football, stop the run. There was a couple plays on offense that they were doing against us, and I thought they had a really good scheme. And then just had to continue to make it a four-quarter game, and I thought we did that.
Very, very impressive, solid effort by NDSU in a playoff game. 45-7, 507 total yards, third down conversions. Bison pretty good, 4 of 9. 44% right there. Let's hear what the players had to say after the game.
You know, guys made plays. Offensive line protected really well, and you know, Chase is, you know, doing all the work on a couple of them there. So it's a combination of things, and we've been practicing well throughout the week, and I think that leads to success on Saturday.
It's super exciting when everyone gets to share the ball a little bit and get after it and have a big day. I mean, that's what we're all about, and we enjoy each other, and we love everyone else's successes, so it's super fun to have a game like that.
It just give them all the momentum, especially in the dome. It's just crazy. Just give us momentum, and it just hype up the sideline, hype up everybody. Just a huge momentum boost, really. That's it.
Anytime you have explosive plays, that's huge. It's good for our offense, and kind of settles us into games, and allows us to get to some different calls and things like that. And guys have been playing really hard, and we're executing right now. And you know, if those two things, you know, explosives are going to happen.
I think the whole offense is, you know, getting healthy, and we're clicking, and we're playing fast and playing hard, and that's what you need at the end of the season. That's what we try to do, is play our best football at the end of the year, and that's all that matters. And we're starting to do that now.
Yep, Bison in playoff mode. Great comments from the players. In the postseason, we like to get the opponent perspective. And, folks, San Diego was a class outfit. The coach and players were very respectful and very complimentary of the Bison.
It's a fabulous venue here. My hat's off. I'm very, very impressed with the Fargo Dome, personally. I've been in a lot of domes, and it looked like you guys figured it all out.
Got us in a hole early, which we definitely didn't want to do. I didn't want to do, and it was hard to come out of that hole. And obviously, it's a great team. They won five times in a row. So
their quarterback was awfully good today, along with their receivers. He was very impressive.
We wanted to come out here and obviously shock the world. It didn't happen, but I'm proud of our guys.
Outside of Alabama, this might be the most physical group of guys that I've seen. I mean, they have mowed people down and been so physical. We were really worried about holding up
There's a lot of talent in the PFL, and there's a lot of talent on our team, but yeah, they were a little better, I would say.
Been really mesmerized by this program and what it's done. I think it's a fabulously well done job. I don't think a lot of people know really how good FCS football is.
This week's Nodak Mutual Insurance Player of the Game, linebacker MJ Stumpf. Folks, this kid is playing at an elite level. With Pierre G. Tucker out, it was on Stumpf to raise his game up, and he did. His second pick six of the year was supplemented with a team-leading 9 tackles. He also had a tackle for loss and a boatload of jaw-rattling hits. Stumpf is big time right now.
Are playing for them and, you know, each other, and you know, it causes other guys to have to raise their level of play, but, you know, it's something that we hold in the back of our mind, that those guys would do anything to be out there, and, you know, it's tough for them to sit on the sideline and watch us and not be able to go out there. So especially if you're, for Pierre, someone who has a chance to get back, it was really big for us to go out there, you know, get a good win and, you know, hopefully get him back here.
So impressed at the player he has become.
Oh, he's an unbelievable player,
Yeah.
and he has progressed throughout his time. Had a phenomenal junior season, capped it off with an All-American type senior season, and just playing at an unbelievably high level.
Well, let's sort through the injuries a little bit. 2 of the guys that were in street clothes yesterday, Darius Shepard and also Pierre G. Tucker. What do you know about those guys?
Well, we're hopeful that they'll be able to practice a little bit this week, and it'll be a game-time decision for both of them.
No question. Good thing to get the Saturday game, too, give him an extra day potentially. Now, Dom Davis playing a lot of nickel. I thought he really stood out in this game against San Diego. Give us a little background on him.
Yeah, Dom's getting better and better, and he's getting more confident the more snaps he plays, and it was an 11 personnel, which means 3 wide receiver games, so it enabled Dom to get a lot of snaps, and he's playing really fast. He had a really good blitz off the edge, got hit on a quarterback, knocking some balls away, and moving forward, Dom has to continue to be a difference maker for us. We really like where he's at as a redshirt freshman.
Yes, okay, bracket now. There's only 8 teams left, Coach. Only 8 teams playing football right now, and of course it's the rematch with South Dakota State. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Sam Houston State, James Madison, that's a great game.
Yeah, it kind of held chalk on that upper bracket, which you and I talked about, it being really an elite side, and that'll be probably a high-scoring game there between Sam and James Madison.
Now at the bottom, I'll tell you what, it was a good day for the Valley on Saturday, and Youngstown State looks fantastic right now.
Yeah, we both called that one. We thought they'd beat Jacksonville State, and it looks like they kind of took care of them as we thought, and they get to host a game. So really happy for Coach Pelini and their team, and Richmond and Eastern Washington. That's a long trip for Richmond.
Yeah, it certainly is. Okay, the big tight ends coming back. Dallas Goedert. You know, in the first 6 games, Coach, he had 9 touchdowns. In the last 6 games, just 2. He's still getting catches and yards, but talk about South Dakota State, Winicky, Goddard, Christian, they're coming back.
Yeah, they just have so many weapons on offense, and we need to do a better job. We held them to 19 points, but we need to do a better job of being able to get off the field. They went for it, I think, on about every 4th down situation, so it may be a 4-down game, those things. We just need to do a better job of trying to get off the field and get some heat on the passer.
Yep, 6 times they went for it on 4th down in that game. Now, everyone talked about their defense, not as good this year. Their defense, let's look at some of the stats. They have really improved. First 6 games against the run, almost 1,200 yards, almost 200 yards a game, 5.2 yards a carry. Look at their last 6 games. Much better against the run, so they're playing better defense, aren't they?
They are playing better defense. You know, one of those first 6 games was against Cal Poly, and they couldn't slow those guys down. But the last 6 games, no question, I think they're playing exceptionally well on defense. I know I watched a little bit of the Northern Iowa game when we were driving back from South Dakota, and they shut those guys down. And both teams know each other so well, and that's the thing that's so unique about this rivalry. It is a rivalry. We've played each other so many times that there's not a lot of secrets between the 2 teams.
It's very similar to the UNI situation last year, where UNI had to come to the Dome twice. It was a quarterfinal game. Northern Iowa came in here, and that was a dogfight, and it's going to be the same way here, isn't it?
It's going to be the same way. We need Bison Nation be crazy in the Fargo Dome like they were yesterday. I thought our crowd was great yesterday. When MJ intercepted that pass, it was deafening in there. When Chase was having the wheel routes, it was deafening in there. We need a great crowd again, because it is a factor for an opposing team for sure.
Yeah, it sure is. Crank it up, Bison Nation. Well, Landon Lechler, the Rams, up front, the offensive line playing great football. Landon's a great story, where he comes from, hard-working kid and family. We have that story next. Welcome back to the show. Landon Lechler has turned into a great offensive lineman for the Bison. He is even a better person, and that comes from hard work and a humble upbringing in the quiet town of Beach, North Dakota. Lee Timmerman has this week's Olaf Anderson construction feature story.
Beach is the first town in North Dakota you hit, heading east on I-94, and Fargo is the last. Landon Lechler has succeeded in both places. He's now a senior with the Bison.
It's went pretty fast, you know. Think about 4.5, 5 years ago, and think about how small I was too.
Small is a relative thing.
Yeah, I was a 245-pound little basketball player when I walked in, and then and Coach Kramer and his staff have kind of developed all of us, and I'll walk out, you know, 305 offensive linemen.
You know, he came to visit me over Thanksgiving, and I was telling my wife, you know, he fills up the doorway. His head almost touches the top of the doorway, and then he fills up half of it. He's come a long, long ways. Never would have thought that he'd be a 3-year starter.
A 3-year starter who's now a first-team all-conference player.
I still don't know a whole lot about it. It's interesting. I watch Landon all the time, and it's hard for me to know what's going on with the whole rest of the game. And then if I watch the game, I don't see what Landon's doing. So got to do a little of both.
Football may fill up most of Landon's days right now, but the farming and ranching world he grew up in fills his heart.
There's no place like home, and it's great getting back and seeing everyone. And a lot of people, you know, I hadn't seen probably since high school or home and stuff like that. So it's been great to get home and help Dad out on the ranch.
That's right. He looks forward to the long drive across the state so he can do more work. And there's a point in that drive when it starts to feel like home.
Probably Medora. Going through the Badlands kind of sets it in for me. But yeah, once I come over at home on the range, come over the hill, and you can see kind of the Golden Valley there, that's when it kind of sets in.
Landon loves this place, the people and the lifestyle.
Well, the dream absolutely would be back here at some point and help Dad take it over. That's the dream at some point, but we'll see how this football thing goes.
Who knows? It could go to the pros. For the Bison Football Show, I'm Lee Timmerman.
That's a true Bison right there. Western North Dakota, the ranching lifestyle, the hard work, that translates to the field, doesn't it?
It sure does. What a great family, what a great story, and Landon has had an all-conference year, and there's more football in Landon's future as well. And I'm excited for him to play again in the Fargo Dome, and his family makes that trek out every week to watch him, and what a great season he's had.
The scouts notice him. The scouts are on him a little bit, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. When you're 6'7" and 310 pounds, and as we all know, offensive linemen are tough to come by, and then you see the guys, what Billy's doing and what Joe's doing. You bet they know where Landon's at, and they know where Jack and Zach are at.
So that farm work might have to wait, Dad. You might have to do the work yourself for a couple of years as he plays in the NFL. Well, in this week's Future Crop of Bison, Superior, Wisconsin has provided another player to the NDSU program. Ross Kinnelly, lettered on 4 straight playoff teams at Superior, was first-team All-State his last 2 years. Former Bison Zach Colvin paved the way from Superior, and Kinnelly is embracing the challenge to produce like Zach did.
You know, having Zach Colvin played here before and having, you know, seen him and all the success he had on, you know, contributing to the team, it was really a cool thing, you know, to see someone from, you know, the same hometown, someone who kind of went through the same things, and you know, it kind of gave me motivation, you know, to kind of move our city forward and just represent our city well. And
that's a pretty good perspective right there, to look up to a kid who played here from your hometown and then want to carry that on.
Yeah, and Ross is going to be a really good player here. He's on our service team right now. He's learning behind some great linebackers, but he has a bright future. And it was fun. We got to see Zach Colvin yesterday, and all those former players coming back to the Fargo Dome to cheer on their previous teammates. That's neat to see.
You know, Ross, you said is a very smart kid, so he can pick up schemes in that part of the game, and that's a lost art too.
Yeah, it really is. Ross will have no problem picking up what we're doing. He's an extremely bright young man, that he's a great tackler. He came to our camp and excelled at our camp and earned an opportunity to be a part of the Bison.
All right, folks, South Dakota State coming back to the Dome. The Jackrabbits are coming. It's going to be a big week, big game, great atmosphere. We're going to talk a little bit more about it and close up the show. Stay with us. Well, Verizon is the Better Network and proud sponsor of our Look Ahead, and the Look Ahead shows us that South Dakota State is coming back. Again, it's the second matchup. This happens a lot in the playoffs. It's happened a lot to the Bison in the playoffs. Happened last year with UNI. Played South Dakota State multiple times, several years back as well. So these matchups are so interesting because you know everybody, you know the schemes. I mean, it seems like we just played them.
Yeah, it does, but it's kind of the way of the world in FCS playoffs. And, you know, you're right. We've played them so many times that you go back and look and see what was successful, and you've got to make your changes. But you still have to stay true to who you are offensively and defensively. I know they will, we will, and oftentimes these games come down to special teams.
Yeah, and their quarterback had a great year, obviously won some awards in the Valley. Offensively, this is a very good team. This past weekend, it was 10-7, snowing a little bit. Yeah. There was some of that going on. And Villanova's defense, very legit, but this is a good offensive team.
Yeah, you can take that last week and throw it out the window against Villanova. You know, they're going to be playing inside. You and I talk a lot about being used to the environment. They've been here once before this year. A number of their kids have played in here a few times probably. And so it's going to come down to execution. And each team will have great schemes, and now who can execute the best.
Even though they know the environment, crank it up, Bison Nation. It can't get loud enough this week. The Bison players need you. They'll feed off of that playoff atmosphere. It needs to be loud. This is a big, big ball game. Quarterfinals against the Jackrabbits. We'll have the Bison Radio Network fired up for you. Of course, ESPN National Television early game, the 11 a.m. start. It's going to be a fun week. Enjoy this ride, everybody. We'll see you next time.